starting this event, very excited with the future that expects us, and I'm very glad we have all these panels. Thank you to the staff of Hearst. It was very good listening. I'm very proud of having you as a customer. And
it was a very, very kind of staid environment, and nothing had changed for years. E-commerce put it on its head. And the thing is that technology is an enabler. It's a means to an end. And I think a lot of companies actually, they lost their way. You know, because think about it, as a retailer, what do I care about? I care about selling goods to my customers at the highest margin and delivering shareholder value. And it's not about building great technology. It's about using technology as an enabler. But a lot of companies came in and they invested a lot of money. They built systems that really weren't very well maintainable. Their cost of ownership went way up. And what you need to be successful in e-commerce, you need speed, you need flexibility, and a low cost of ownership. And a lot of people made mistakes and did that. Now there's a few exceptions, a few really winners. I think, if you look at brick and mortar companies, like Urban Outfitters, they pivoted, they closed stores, and now about 40% of the revenue actually comes from e-com. I think they did a really good job. You take a company like Alo Yoga started as a pure play, and they did very successful with e-com. They realized the economics had changed, they opened new stores, and they're one of the fastest growing retailers now. Or you look at a pure play like Revolve. Revolve has a very low cost of ownership, a very, very committed customer base, and they've done very well. Yeah, and the losers are the ones who spent money without getting a return. Because in the end of the day, the goal is to actually sell goods at the highest margin and be fast. And everyone knows this environment is changing so fast. If you can't change with it, you're gonna die. Do basically one-to-one marketing, and you can deliver to the needs of the customer where you couldn't do that before. And so that's a big enabler. And if you're a retailer, you can't be the same. You have to have a differentiator that's going to make you relevant to consumers. And I think technology can help you do that. Building a GL or an AR or an AP system? No, you're going to go to Oracle, you're going to go to Microsoft or NetSuite and buy it because it's a commodity. Now, why is it different with e-com? So let's go back to the basic tenet. I want speed, I want flexibility, and I want a low cost of ownership. And so when it comes to e-com, and also I want simplicity. So if I could buy it, and I want time to value. If I could get it implemented very quickly with a very low cost, and enable me to actually take those pieces that maybe they're going to be a differentiator and give me a competitive advantage, maybe I'll build there. But I end up with a much simpler tech stack. I can respond much quicker, and I'll be much more profitable. Realize total cost of ownership is the key. What's it going to cost to maintain it? And I've seen, let's just take e-commerce for example. I've seen, every head of e-commerce wants to buy nice shiny toys. So they'll have a system like Attendant for SMS. They'll buy Salesforce Marketing Cloud for email marketing. They'll buy Bluecore for trigger marketing. They'll buy Dynamic Yield for personalization, et cetera, et cetera. And then you look at this, and the problem is they hire people, and everyone knows that e-com, people move jobs quickly. So they end up now with nobody knowing how to use tools. And maybe they use 5 or 10% of the tools. Then you look at the aggregate spend, and now they're spending 6, 7, 8% of GMV on tech. And the rule of thumb, you should try to keep it around 3%, 4 if you're lucky. Now, let's look at what's happened with interest rates going up. Basically, e-commerce used to be value creative. Now, with the variable expenses of e-commerce, think what's happened. Basically, FedEx, UPS, all the outbound freight companies, the costs have doubled since COVID. It used to be $3.50 for a pound package on Zone 4. Now it's about $7. Your costs in your DCs, the labor costs have gone up to pick and pack. Split shipment costs are horrible. And so, to be profitable, now it's almost value destructive. So what do you want to do? You want to basically lower your cost basis to make e-commerce profitable. And the best way to do that is in technology. Why spend money on what I call shelfware, things that you're not really using? So if you can get a composable architecture, and that's what I love about VTex, is it can do most of what you want, but then the areas where I really need differentiation that's going to drive value, I can do something custom there. And that will actually help me keep, my cost to the 3-4% range. So I can get speed to value sooner with that lower cost. Sure, you want to do that. How many of you walk into a store and say, well, I want to spend more money on an item than less than an item? You don't. The rational thing is, let me buy the item for the cheapest price. Very complex environment because people don't have the resources to go spend the money like the US retailers spend on technology. You have a very complex promotional environment. You have a lot of different languages, a lot of different regulations. And VTex was able to operate there very successfully. And I look at the US retailers, and e-commerce profitability, like I said, is being eroded by all these costs. And your platform, when I look under the hood, it's amazing. And I'm looking at that and thinking, wow, you guys can make it work for these big brands in these complex environments with low cost of ownership. Come on, it's right for this market. And you look at the usual suspects, Salesforce, Commerce Cloud, Shopify, BigCommerce, and I look at your stuff, it's a lot better, and it's a lot cheaper. And so I'm really excited because I think you're going to be a real success in this market because you have what it takes. And you've got great leadership too.
I'm so grateful. Thank you very much. Artificial intelligence would replace what they call the blue collar jobs first, because they are simpler jobs. But what is happening is that AI, because of these hallucinations and these models that are randomized, that are in a sense erratic, and they hallucinate, they are kind of creative. Because, what is creativity? It's an hallucination, right? Somebody that went from another, saw the problem in
To me, is going to be on personalization. Because, and the beauty is, a lot of these initiatives, you can put in very quickly. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It's not like putting in a whole new system. You can go, put them in, and to me, it's try and fail fast. You can do A/B testing, you can figure out whether it works. If it doesn't work, then move on. And, I know you talk about all these things, but there's a lot of actually very innovative startups out there that are willing to work with companies. They want to leverage your brand, and you give them your domain expertise, and it's actually can be a win-win. And this year, 2023, last year, was somewhat normal. So now I think we're back to normal cadence. Before, consumers, they couldn't do experiential spend. So basically, there was a 70% increase in imports going through the port of LA. People bought stuff, and they had money from COVID, and they were willing to spend it. Now we're going back to where the customer is going to be very particular. Their price is an object now with inflation. So I think that basically you're going to need to use AI. You're going to need to meet the customer needs because they're not going to be as accommodating as they were during COVID.